Hello and welcome to Sarasi Plays Third Age Total War Divide and Conquer. We are going to be starting a brand new Total War campaign using what is probably one of the best total conversion mods ever made for any Total War game to date. This is using my favorite Total War game, Medieval 2, as the base. And there's this fantastic total conversion mod that came out called Third Age Total War, which bases it on the world of the Lord of the Rings during the Third Age. But one of the limitations of that is that there's very few factions overall, and they kind of elide a lot of factions that probably should be separate. So what this submod seeks to do is it splits those factions into a bunch of different ones, which is really exciting to see. And they do some really creative things with the lore too, and kind of invent some things, but also it fits. So as you can see, what I have up here right now is the Kingdom of Gondor, a pretty standard vanilla faction, but something cool, as an example, is they added the Principality of Dol Amroth, which featured prominently in the books, but was only really tiny piece of the original game, or mod, I should say. Other factions, like you may recognize, are Mordor, or, let's see, Isengard. But then there's other ones that you might not have even heard of. Let's see. Ar Aduneum, which is the Black Numenorians. They start as a horde faction, and they can basically settle anywhere you want, though the assumption is you're going to settle around Umbar. I once did a campaign where I actually sailed all the way up the coast and sacked the Grey Havens and basically settled a kingdom up here. It didn't go very well, unfortunately. The campaign was very brutal, and I was fighting it to the death from the beginning. Alright, so this campaign we are going to play as the Remnants of Angmar faction. Angmar is the ancient kingdom which arose in the far north under the Witch King. That's why he's called the Witch King of Angmar. And they are the ones responsible for the destruction of the northern Dunedain kingdom of Arnor. So I'm just going to read the descriptions. The leader is Overlord Agandaur, the heir is Lord Skild, and the capital is at Carndun. The Black Rider flung back his hood, and behold, he had a kingly crown. And yet, upon his head visible was it set. Upon no head visible was it set. The red fires shone between it and the mantled shoulders vast and dark. From a mouth unseen there came a deadly laughter. "Old fool," he said. "Old fool, this is my hour. Do you not know death when you see it? Die now and curse in vain." And with that he lifted high his sword, and flames ran down the blade. That's from the chapter Witch King of Angmar. Starting location, the remnants of Old Angmar begin with only a handful of settlements to their name in the far cold north. They have alliances with the King of Gundabad and the High Chief of Moria, but have yet to declare fully with Sauron. Early game. Between the lands of Angmar and the historic lands of Arthedain lie many independent villages, towns, and castles, ruins of the once great cities that stood in Eriador. All are ripe for plundering. Military overview. The Angmarim have long preferred to meet their foe on foot in stout armor, and that tradition endures. They have keen archers who have adapted to fighting the superior Dunedain rangers well. They hold an uneasy alliance with the orcs of Mount Graham, and the latter provide many mounted battalions, vicious wargs with battle-ready orc riders. Further afield, the ancient curse laid by the Witch King on the burial mounds of the Dunedain still bear forth undead monstrosities to this day that will still fight for the Iron Crown. Special features: the Witch King of Angmar, rare units, Barrow Wights in Numenorian cities, and snow trolls of the Etten Moors or Gundabad. So it's a well-rounded faction with a versatile roster. The drawbacks is we have multiple enemies, but we are armor-piercing specialists, so it's kind of good as like an anti-elite faction, but it's also interesting in that it doesn't have any major specializations. It kind of has a large mix of units, but it's a jack-of-all-trades faction in many cases. But they also have some really, really cool elite things. So we're going to be playing... Let's do the short campaign. Nah, let's go for the full long campaign. Why not? Very hard, very hard. because I'm a glutton for punishment, and that's the way these mods are designed to play. He had fortified the land of Mordor and had built there the Tower of Barad-dûr. So, as you may know about me, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, and I'm going to be spouting lore left and right while we advance through this campaign. Some interesting things to know about Medieval 2's engine is that it's the first of the only real Total War game that's like really well balanced in terms of the AI actually plays by the same rules as you. These mods actually changed that rule so that the AI has way more power, so it's a very challenging campaign. Welcome to Divide and Conquer. A very warm welcome to Divide and Conquer version 3, The Cold North. This message has been prepared to brief you on the major changes between Divide and Conquer and Third Age 3.2, and to give some information on the core mechanics of that mod and the submod. I would ask you to take a few moments to read through this, as it will answer 80% of the questions we get asked. Recruitment is restricted by an event called the Barracks event. It will trigger between turns 60 to 68 and then unlocks your higher tier units. Many units will also speed up their recruitment time after this event. You will need town halls or castle halls in order to train units and settlements. Characters can die of old age, but not until they reach at least 120. There are 4 turns per year, so a 16-year-old character would take 416 turns to die of old age. Many units get a visual change to their battle model when they are upgraded at a blacksmith. This is seen mostly with Gondor, Erebor, Eredluin, and Khazad-dûm. Oh, I played a great Khazad-dûm campaign. Bodyguard units have a hard-coded replenishment number of 77. If a unit starts with more than 77, Thranduil for example, then he will not replenish until his number goes below 77. And then it will only return to 77. So this is a lot of just mechanical information. No assassins or merchants, only diplomats and spies. Many factions and regions have restricted town or castle development. The levels that are available is as follows: village, town, large town, city, and large city, keep, castle, and stronghold. Orcs cannot upgrade to strongholds. Wildmen cannot upgrade beyond large town and castle. Bree cannot get strongholds and can only get large cities if you make the right choice. Ah, I see. The Balrog will have more than one soldier in his battalion. The game cannot create one-man battalions, I am afraid. Very few factions can build boats. Most factions have to rely on mercenary cogs. Elven units have slow replenishment times, often taking up to 20 turns for the next available unit. They are also quite expensive. The Palantiri are no longer used. They are now just unique buildings that give big bonuses that vary from faction to faction. When a faction goes below, on average 3 settlements, then a stack of 15 to 20 units will spawn to stand as the last stand of that faction. The stack will spawn only once and can be quite a challenge. The Balrog is very temperamental and may crash your game instantly upon loading into battle against him. This is different for everyone and cannot be fixed. You would need to auto-resolve these battles if they crash for you. Rebel generals and roving armies under the control of the Independent Realms will now attack you immediately. By pressing the scroll lock button, you can turn off all UI in a single click. As a general rule, the AI doesn't sally out in custom settlements with no gates. Engine limitation. The no repercussions for cheating. Well, we're not going to do that. Alright, here's the introduction for the remnants of Angmar. Ice and wind. All that remains of the once great northern realm. In ages past, the north was a hub of activity. Roads were packed with merchants passing from Carn Dûm to the Misty Mountains. War camps dotted the land as great black fissures in the bare white landscape, and great cities rose from the waste like oases in the snow. Now, however, the north is barren and empty, and few remain. In the 1300th year of the Third Age of Middle-earth, the Witch King came to Angmar and united squabbling lords and orc tribes under his banner. The realm prospered and grew, and for the next 675 years waged war on the Dunedain of the north. Men and orcs flocked to Angmar to answer the Witch King's call, and slowly but surely, the war was won. However, the blind loyalty of the Northerners came at a terrible price. In the year 1975 of the Third Age, after the last bastion of the northern Dunedain, Fornost, had fallen, the doom of Angmar came swift. Eärnur, Gondor's greatest military general at the time, landed in Lindon with an army bent on revenge. The High Elves mustered with him, and Glorfindel of the House of the Golden Flower stood side by side with Eärnur. Their combined arms decimated the army of Angmar, and the Witch King abandoned the north to its fate. The pain enacted upon the northern Dunedain was repaid tenfold by the Gondorians of the Angmarim. Cities were utterly destroyed, with nary a stone left to mark where they once stood. Orcs were routed from Angmar completely, and Mount Gram was cleansed of their memory. Those few Angmarim who could keep ahead of the wave of Gondorian fury fled into the cold north. Angmar was no more. Under the neglectful watch of Gondor, however, the Angmarim slowly crept back, and the fires of Carn Dûm were kindled anew. In time, this slow trickle of refugees blossomed into a fledgling nation. The fortress of Carn Dûm was repaired, and the ice tower rebuilt. The town of Litash was captured, and the long-abandoned dwarven halls beneath it were claimed. Orcs came up from the Misty Mountains and resettled in Shedun. Angmar was reborn. Now in the year 2980 of the Third Age, our nation stands ready to repay the Dunedain for the hurt of long ago. Our warriors are trained and ready, fresh steel in their hands and keen bows on their backs. The warg tribes of Mount Gram have pledged allegiance to their old allies and stand with us, ready to hunt and scout in our name. News of our rebirth has also reached the ears of the Dark Lord, who has sent forth one of his lieutenants to command our armies and train our soldiers. As before, we are poised to bring domination to Eriador, and only the scattered remnants of the Dunedain can hope to stop us. Rumors also abound amongst our men of the return of our great lord, the Witch King. Many hold that if we are to be able to conquer the north in our own name, the Lord of the Nazgul will return and lead us to the ultimate glory. Imladris and Fornost must be destroyed by our hand to repay our long-aged debt to the Dunedain, and then the world will be ours. Alright. So we start out in every campaign with this game pretty much with an extremely undeveloped and weak base of power. I am going to just quickly go through all of the different settlements that we have under our control, see what's available, and make careful decisions to maximize our first few turns. We definitely need a diplomat to start getting trade agreements and getting income from selling map information. Ooh, special building. Barad Helig. Taking inspiration from his master in the south, the Witch King built a grand structure in his ancient capital that has survived to this day. Barad Helig, the Ice Tower. From the high vantage point, the Witch King lorded over all he saw and commanded the frozen legions with his trademark iron fist. Owing to his power and the magics he bonded with the very stone and iron itself, the tower was left standing by the free peoples after they defeated Angmar in the War of Arnor. Alright, let's see if there's any other special. Carn Dûm was the capital of Angmar. Established on the very western end of the mountains of Angmar, it was inhabited by the Witch King of Angmar and his many servants, men of darkness, orcs, and other fell creatures. From here he based his attacks on 3 petty realms of Arnor, quickly managing to destroy Rudar and weaken Cardolan. Arthedain fell in the fall of Fornost in the Third Age 1974, but the Witch King was routed by Glorfindel in 1975 and abandoned Carn Dûm. Orcs did, however, continue to live there. It's a mountainous terrain. What do we have here? Oh, this is Mount Gram. Mount Gram is a mountain at the northern end of the Misty Mountains and is habited by a great number of orcs. In Third Age 2747, a large force of goblins, led by the infamous Golfumble, issued forth from Mount Gram and assaulted the Shire. The ensuing battle became known as the Battle of Green Fields. The hobbits managed to rout the attackers under the strong and capable leadership of Bandabras Took. Golfumbil himself was killed in the battle, and the Shire was kept safe. So that's actually a story that was taken from The Hobbit, and that's Bandabras Took, known as Bull Roarer. He took a club, and he knocked Golfumbil's head off, and the head, according to legend, sailed into a hole in the ground, and therefore the game of golf was invented. Quite clever, I think. And what do we have at Litash? Oh, Nan Angmar. The Valley of Angmar is a vast bowl lying between 2 arms of the Misty Mountains. It is a barren, rocky plateau that is unsuitable for agriculture and is in practice a cold desert. The vast majority of the population inhabits the western edge of the valley, where there are some sheltered vales and farming can be attempted. This is also due to the large hosts of wolves that roam the eastern edge and at the bases of the mountains, finding food wherever they can. Most settlements are built on the strategic sites of old iron mines that predate the Witch King's rule. Alright, so those are our 3 starting settlements. Our finances are not horrendous. Starting off, we have a surplus of about 1,000 per turn. For the first turn. I think that changes pretty quickly. We have the culture of Melkor's Shadow, like most evil factions. We are allied to Mordor and trading with them. That's good. Goblins of Moria, we're allied with them and trading with them. And we're allied with the Orcs of Gundabad, but we don't have any other treaties with them. So the Orcs of Moria basically live along this area. I think that, yeah, that's where Moria is on the map. And they also have some land out here. That's Rivendell. That's going to be one of our main antagonists in this campaign, is my guess. And then there's our allies, the Orcs of Gundabad, who are basically just going to protect our flank. That's our only real interaction with them. But we do want to get trade rights with them as soon as we can. So with that all established, let's go into our different characters that we start with. Wow, okay. So this guy is Hundvorn. He's a pretty basic general, not super loyal, but decent command and dread. Hundvorn was originally a man of Cardolan, serving valiantly alongside the king to rebel the Witch King? What? I'm not sure. Oh, repel. That's what they mean. To repel the Witch King. However, seeing his strength, the Witch King personally enslaved Hundvorn and made him perhaps the first of the loyal wraiths of Angmar. He has served the darkness ever since, but has spent much of his immortality roaming the high peaks of the Misty Mountains until he can properly serve the Dark Lord again. That time has come. So he's a wraith. Wraiths are semi-mystical beings that have passed into the shadow world but have returned to wreak havoc upon the living. Though the Nazgul are the most feared and powerful of the wraiths, there are none amongst their number that are not a dreadful sight to behold or should be taken lightly. Their otherworldly presence lends them increased combat skills and virtually limitless supplies of stamina. Okay, so he's a really strong character. It looks like tons of hit point bonuses. Special ability. Stuns enemy units and boosts own army's combat effectiveness. Serpent Elixir. Interesting. He's an aspiring commander. Winning first. He lacks compassion. He's a promising attacker, a cunning ambusher, a night fighter, and effective at night. So he's a wraith. He's good at killing things, and he's best at night. And what is his bodyguard? Ooh, Barrow Wights. So they're a really strong melee unit, it looks like. The armor piercing. They're morale reducing. After the time of the Great Plague, evil spirits out of Angmar and Rudar entered into the deserted mounds of old Arnor and dwelt there. A shadow came out of dark places far away, and the bones were stirred in the mounds. Barrow Wights walked in the hollow places with a clink of rings on cold fingers and gold chains in the wind. Risen to trouble the lands of men, these fiends strike fear into the hearts of their opponents. Okay, so they have endless morale to fight to the death. It looks like. They're not good in desert or snow, apparently. That's not good. And we got more Barrow Wights here just with another unit. That's cool. That looks like a really strong starting unit to have. Ah, here's our faction leader. Overlord Agandor, Lieutenant of Mordor. So he's got first commander of Angmar. Agandar hails from the same group of black Númenóreans as the infamous Mouth of Sauron, and together they both serve with unyielding loyalty. Using his strength and power, he has managed to unite the bickering clans of the far north and unleash them on the sleepy lands of Eriador. His dabbling with the dark arts has given him unnatural longevity and seems to save him from near death, ensuring that it takes many blows to fell this dark servant. Alright, he's really, really freaking strong. He's a Númenórean, descendant of Númenor. He's the faction leader, which gives him another huge bonus. And as you can see, his stats are through the roof. Holy crap. Cruel and cunning, unsurprising for someone from Mordor. His special ability is Black Hand of Mordor. 3 charges. So it makes your own army unbreakable for a period of time. Reduces enemy morale and makes them infight. So that's good to unleash when we've got flanking maneuvers activated. Proven commander, cruel leader, and night fighter. Yeah, so he's not a very nice person. Who do we have here? Morholt, the Hillman. Morholt holds sway over the largest number of Rudar clans and is seen as the strongest of all the Wildmen. He serves the Dark Lord not through loyalty or subjection, but for a desire for wealth and to show his strength to the weaklings of Eriador. He yearns for gold and dominion and has been promised both in service to Agandar. He serves, but would just as soon turn on Agandar if the money was good. Alright, so he's probably our weakest general. He's a middleman. Middleman is a blanket term that applies predominantly to the people of Bree, Enedwaith, Rudar, and Dunland, as all 3 share very similar ancestry. An ancestry that belongs to the race of humans who lived in the middle of Middle-earth. Whilst the nations all fight in different ways and against different enemies, more often than not against themselves, however, they all share the same hardy resistance to the wilds of the earth, and have a fierce loyalty to their leaders. Whilst some of the middlemen do fight for the Shadow, they are not truly under its sway and would fight for their own independence should Sauron claim ultimate victory. Alright, so he gives a little bit of an economic bonus. Winning first. Ooh, Iron Fist. Alright, so that has a drawback. It temporarily boosts your army, but then it... Oh! Hey, that's actually good. It raises the fatigue when done, unless fatigue is a bad thing. Yeah, raising fatigue might actually mean it makes you more tired. He's easily riled. Fierce in battle, aspiring commander, promising defender, bends the truth. Okay, he's a liar. Night fighter. Lacks justice. Adopts scouting and eager. Interesting. And here we have another. So we have like one of every race, it seems like, for our generals. He's got huge ranks in fear. He's an orc. And this is Drangu the Bloody. This bloodthirsty creature is an orc, a vile and cruel copy of the majestic Eldar. Made in mockery of the power of Iluvatar by Melkor, they are evil to their core and will fight all the forces of good until their last breath goes. So he gets penalty to movement, bonus to looting, and bonus to fear. He's a promising commander, a cruel leader, a berserker, sanguinary. Ooh, that's a good... Oh, wait. Yeah, that's not... He's a liar, a wall taker, and a night fighter. Wow, all of my units have a night fighter, it looks like. And we have one more, who's one of the Angmarim. The Angmarim are closely linked genealogically to the men of Dale and Rohan, but that is where the similarity ends. Sometimes the typos confuse me. The men of the far north have always harbored a bitter hatred of the descendants of Numenor and seek to rule over all. Their cold and frigid existence has physically hardened them, but they are able to endure the stings and cuts of war more so than lesser men. The men of Angmar are also master raiders, and they move swiftly across the plains of the north. Okay. Heir apparent, promising commander, fierce in battle, sanguinary, mean leader, and night fighter. Okay, every single general I have has night fighter. And we have our spy, who's an Angmarim, inconspicuous in front. Alright, so that's what we have to start with. We don't have too much money to start, so we gotta be careful, but I know there's a city out here that's probably good to start. Okay, more of a tar. It's on the border with Rivendell. Imladris, technically, is the name of the faction. But I think it should be relatively easy to take.
Get ready for fighting! An order!
I'm just looking for ways to maximize my income here.
Yes.
So you need to go here. Okay, that's slightly reduced my income at Carndum, but it's worth it. Yeah, these buildings will actually have like garrisons that automatically come when the city gets attacked. But, so I definitely want land clearance here, because food and farms is always good. I don't have any real issues with culture. Like, I got a minor penalty, but seems to be doing pretty well for itself.
An order.
And fortunately,
Nothing shall
watchtowers are
escape your
very
notice
cheap,
in these lands,
so
my
I will
lord.
be able to buy
Move!
plenty of
Nothing
them.
shall escape your notice in these lands, my lord.
That's just a stronghold. What do we want here? That's the sooner you build the mines, the better, in my opinion. So, but farms are good too. How much will that boost my income? By 70. They cost the same, and this builds faster and gives me way more income, so I'm gonna go for mines. And here we will just build farms, I guess? Yeah. In the early game, you kind of just need to turtle, unfortunately, because
My lord.
the AI will just crush you otherwise. The good news is we do have some expansion room, and we do need to take some surrounding cities, otherwise the forces of good will quickly overwhelm us, because we are in a part of Middle-earth where the good factions tend to dominate. I have to admit that I haven't played this faction very extensively, so it might take me a while to get used to how to win fights as them, especially because I usually play the good factions in this game. Okay, so the first turn, let's just not recruit any troops until we have things more or less established. Alright. Turn. Alright, that's our first turn. How long did that take? Hey, we don't have an agreement here. You stay out of my land. Gonna speed up that. There are just so many factions in this kind of campaign. Alright, so this is the turn when all of the AI just suddenly expands. They're scripted to capture a ton of cities. So we have a diplomat now.
Your orders.
Jishan. He's not a great diplomat, but hopefully that'll change.
An order.
Alright, we don't want to go any further here. I'm very worried about if we take this, Imladris might just send a huge army of elves and like curb stomp us. And we might not survive that in here. But that looks like a promising place to capture. The good news is we do have plenty of surplus income at this point. Yeah, the starting units are terrible, which is why the early game is so unforgiving. It forces you to just play more or less defensively.
Yes. An order. Yes.
Oh crap,
Yes.
I moved him too far.
Nothing shall escape your notice in these lands, my lord. I've tried whipping them, but the men are spent. An order.
What is his bodyguard, I'm wondering? Ooh, Legio the First of Carn-Dûm, Temple Wards. When the power of Numenor was firmly held by Sauron in his role as chief advisor, he began construction of the infamous Temple, a monstrous worship space dedicated to Melkor in the heart of the Numenorean capital of Armenelos. The temple fell when the island was drowned by the One, but the memory of the colossal structure lives on in the descendants of the fell Numenorians who emigrated to Middle-earth before the downfall. These black soldiers now take up the name of the temple as their war cry as they march across Middle-earth in the name of Sauron the Deceiver. The numbers of these wards are very few, however, as they are the pinnacle of Sauron's warriors. Indeed, a few wards accompany every orc battalion into war, but when gathered into their own battle group, they are more than a match for any Gondorian pretender. Okay, they're just a really heavy infantry, and we can get snow orc spears, which are very good at defense, but kind of puny. Alright, those are just mercenaries though, so we don't need them. I think I'm going to send this army down here to take the city, because I'm pretty sure the Dunedain are going to come up here. And this will be... Oh, those look really cool. I think those are generals, though. Yeah. I need units. I do need them. I'm gonna send them into the castle fortress here. That should make it a little bit more affordable. These seem better in every way, so we'll get those. Alright, intern. I really hope I don't get a random copyright strike because of the movie music in the background. That would be frustrating. Ooh! Imladris has always been a haven for the elves of Middle-earth in ages past. Elrond Half-Elven has kept the forces of evil at bay by his ever-vigilant watch, but the enemy has been growing. The elves of Middle-earth leave the shores, and their defenses wane in the growing darkness. Too few now patrol the hidden roads. The piercing wails of the dying elves fill the forests as they return to defend that which they cherish most. Imladris must not fall under the wave of darkness that now threatens all of Middle-earth. If the city falls, the west may very well follow, and all shall perish in the coming darkness. The defenses must stand, or all hope is lost. That could be a good thing. So they want me to send an emissary here.
Your orders.
I think
Approaching
I can
their
do that.
dignitary. Yes, my lord.
I should have time for that.
Orders. Your will, my lord.
Alright, any excess troops from here
Orders.
I'm going to send here.
By your command. Yes.
Just in case.
My lord. Approaching quietly.
And there we
I
go, there's the
respect you,
Dunedain General.
my enemy.
Kunir. What is the rest of his army?
It will be an honor defeating
Dunedain
you.
Wardens. Ugh,
My lord.
those look threatening.
Approaching quietly.
Move!
We'll build a
Nothing
watchtower
shall
here,
escape your notice in these
and
lands,
then
my lord.
march for
We
more.
shall slaughter them, my lord.
What else do we have? Oh, this is going to be built next turn. That's good. Yeah, because population growth is slow in this game. In the base medieval 2, you could get things up and running very quickly, but in this game, everything takes like 50 turns. And there they go. Ladris has been taken. No song shall be sung of the morning to come. No dancing is to be seen in the Hall of Fire. No more tales of heroic deeds and valor of old is to be told upon blissful afternoons. The rays of the morning sun fall on cruel laughter and dark shapes. The tables have been overturned, and the warm glow of the fire has been put out and no longer beacons safety and peace. The enemy have killed all of the defenders and routed the remaining elves. The few that survive now wander broken and without hope. The power of Imladris is broken, and a shadow has fallen over the valley where it stood. If Imladris is not partaken, the west shall be overrun, and all shall be consumed in the fires of the enemy. Well, Moria's been busy. I feel a lot better about going for this city now.
An order.
I have 3 generals
Finish
units who can
them!
take the majority of the
We'll
casualties, I
stop
think.
here.
So you will
As you
occupy
wish.
here. That way we can minimize the losses of income.
Your orders.
So you are gonna...
Always a pleasure to deal with your people. We have no complaints with this plan.
Awesome. We're trading
Excellent.
with them, and
Please continue with your suggestions. Unfortunately, we cannot accept. We
All right.
welcome your further good reason.
make demand. You can give us 100 coins.
Let us not
Oh,
take
come on.
goodbye. We look forward to our next meeting.
As you
I love
wish.
that they have the Russian accent from the base game.
Tomorrow's journey planned
that
out.
looks like their capital. That's Mount Gundabad right there. As long as that remains in their hands, we're safe. So this is the crux of our rear defense. The good news is if it does fall, then we'll have a very strong defense right here to repulse any invaders. Hopefully it'll be built up by then, enough to challenge any opposition. And then we could retake it and make it our own base.
My
which
lord.
should be pretty neat.
Yes.
Alright, what else do we have here?
My lord. Approaching quietly.
Okay. There's a much more defended town here. Let's be careful with the units while our economy is still in tatters. Let's not build any more than we can afford. These are very weak units to start. But some of them are very strong, for what it's worth.
An order.
My lord.
I want to keep an eye on both of these settlements. I don't think anyone's going to come up this way anytime soon, but you never know. Alright. Intern. And they're going to take out that settlement. It looks like they're still really weak from the attack though, so I might want to sneak in. Or maybe not. I kind of don't want to engage with them too much at this point in the campaign. But if I let them
Yes,
take
my
too many
lord.
settlements, I'll be boxed in
Without
and screwed
question.
over.
Yes. Approaching. What is it you
Right,
wish
let's
to
see
discuss?
if we can get trade rights with them.
Possibly a mistake. Another
Awesome.
proposition for us then?
And will you pay me?
This proposal. There is something else you wish to propose then.
No. How much do you want to pay me for
Let's
this?
not take this any
Oh.
further. Good day to you.
Well, at least I got the free 500 coins from this. So I got
Yes,
trade
my
with
lord.
them. That's something. Let's head down to Dol Guldur.
Without question. I shall continue tomorrow.
Get ready for fighting by your command.
Right. Oh crap, I forgot to build something here. Definitely still going for economic bonuses at this point. Our farming and trade income are both pretty weak. Because unfortunately this is average harvest. Interesting. I can't imagine the fertility here is very good overall though. Unfortunately. Oh, they do have mines here. But I can't afford them. Not this turn anyway. Why don't I build farms and then save up for the mines? Because I feel like mines are key to building up the economy here. Shockingly, Karn Doom doesn't have mines. Just has this place. I doubt this place is going to be very profitable overall, but it can't hurt. Ooh, I need to get these built too so I can reduce the overall expenditure on building costs.
My lord.
Let's scout out the surrounding territories as well. Okay, there's another settlement. I don't like how close they are to my borders at this starting point, though.
Yes. We shall slaughter them, my lord.
They have 2
Besieging a
turns, so
coward,
I'm
my
just going
lord.
to besiege them.
They're not
Because they
going
have
anywhere.
trolls. I know they won't be able to take out my 3 generals in this army, but it's worth
An order.
playing defense. And I don't have much leeway with income right now. Once I start taking more cities, that will probably change. They want me to send an emissary to the Woodland Realm.
Yes, my
I
lord.
can do that.
Yes,
If it means extra money, I can do that.
as you wish. Yes, as you wish. Without question.
Okay, so what
Tomorrow's
is that?
journey planned out.
I guess it's just a crossing, but whatever. And remind me where it is. Okay, you
I
go
shall
there.
continue tomorrow.
I got communal farming built. Yay, communism! Let's build a mason's hall here so that everything's cheaper. Let's build one here too. That's about to get built. Let's build another mason's hall. Wow. And let's reduce income slightly. But boost that population growth. Because we need a lot to be able to build this place up even more. Yeah, they're not taking too many casualties, but enough to
Yes.
be probably worthwhile at this point in the
My
campaign.
lord. Approaching.
So it looks like they're just sitting in Novcharagwal. Just looking at what else. The cool thing is that armor buildings actually do increase your income, which is pretty neat. I think I'm definitely going to get a bunch of those here because Karn Doom is going to be like the main recruitment building. What is the garrison here though?
My lord.
I don't know. And intern. Oh, Anduin Vale. That faction's basically just Bjorn. They also added in Dorwinian, which is like out by the Sea of Rune. They're like an elf-human hybrid faction. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. They got really creative with some of these factions that were less fleshed out in the official lore. And here's our first official battle. Morholt the Hillman versus Captain Ulf. He's got those Rudar Huskarls and trolls, but we have 3
There'll be
generals.
no escaping
So,
us now!
and cavalry.
Attack!
So I think that's our biggest advantage. Eonwe came among them and taught them, and they were given wisdom and power and life more enduring than any others of mortal race have possessed. And they have some really cool art in the background too. Alright, pause. Alright, so it's a very bare village map where they're just sallying out, so we have some time to set up. This will just be basic infantry line, it looks like. Ooh, missile cavalry, missile, ooh, dark blades. Okay, so they're archers who look really cool. Rudar Huskarls, and yeah, this is a very old Total War game, so yeah, the graphics aren't like gorgeous, but I think they're pretty serviceable. Rudar Huskarls, this guy will be our main battle line here, I think. So he will join these guys. Oh, sorry, getting used to these. I've been playing a lot of Total War Warhammer 2, so this is a little bit to get used to. And you gotta fiddle with it a bit sometimes. You're missile cavalry. You're missile cavalry, and you're just missiles. These two are missile cavalry, so we will set them up and send them out to do some harassment. So these are all wargs. Oh, they look pretty. Alright, you. Let's try to kite the trolls. That would be really useful for what we're trying to do. Oh wow, these guys can shoot from this far away? Alright, we're doing some pretty good damage over here. They're starting to get a little close for comfort. So we're just gonna march our forces forward.
Support from the hills!
Speed up a bit, please. Hopefully, we can brace in time for this. Alright, you will be our flanking force. And good, we've kited the Brudar Huskarls, that's good. This isn't good. They're getting whomped by these trolls. But they're doing okay. Alright. Good use of that ability. These guys are just running in circles. That's fine. Alright, you all flank you very much. But of course, they don't know what they're doing, so they just stop. That's the problem with Medieval 2's engine, is the AI is frequently very, very stupid. These guys are doing okay over here. We're all just focusing fire on the general's unit. Come on. They're dying in droves. Oh. Still, the battle line doesn't seem to be doing great. They're about to waver though, so that's good. Once more of the army is in place, we should be able to
The enemy are badly bloodied. If we continue
I'm
like
hoping
this,
we can just
will
snipe their
smash
general
the enemy.
here. Just by shooty shoots. Because I know he's in there. Oh, that's him right there. Because once enough of them are dead... Oh, we're almost out of arrows too. That's okay. Once they're out of arrows, then we can just send them in. Alright, now you two are gonna destroy over here. Oh, this poor Budar Pugman got totally whomped by the trolls. So, you are gonna just focus fire on these guys.
We've lost half of our men. If we continue like this, we will
Alright,
smash
they're routing.
the enemy.
Alright. We need to take down as many of them as we can before they fall into the